You've probably seen the headline. 90% of Americans are ignoring the number one piece of Social Security advice. And the advice they're talking about is simple. Wait until age 70 to claim your benefit. At first glance, that headline makes it sound like almost everyone is making a huge financial mistake. Like the experts have it figured out and regular Americans just aren't listening. But here's what that headline doesn't tell you, and it's the part that actually matters for your retirement. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which side of that 90% you should be on. Welcome back to Tyson Retires, the channel where we take the retirement headlines everyone's talking about and break down what they actually mean for your money. No fear-mongering, no one-size-fits-all advice, just the real numbers so you can make the right call for your own situation. If that sounds useful, hit subscribe because we publish new breakdowns like this every week. Now let's get into it. What Americans actually do. So let's start with the honest question. If waiting until 70 really is the best move, why isn't almost everyone doing it? Here's how Americans actually claim Social Security, based on Social Security Administration data. About 20.25% claim right at 62, the earliest possible age. This is the single most common claiming age in the country. Another 35.40% claim somewhere between 63 and 65. Roughly 25.30% wait until full retirement age, 66 or 67, depending on birth year. A smaller group, around 25% combined, pushes to 68 or 69. And age 70? Less than 10% of Americans wait that long. In some data sets, it's closer to 4.8%. Let that sink in. Fewer than 1 in 10 people follow what's marketed as the optimal strategy. Now you could look at that and say, people just don't understand the math, and we're going to cover the math because it's genuinely powerful. But if you actually dig into the research, the Social Security Administration, the Center for Retirement Research at Boston College, Vanguard, and respected retirement researchers like Wade Pfau and David Blanchett, you'll find the real conclusion isn't everyone should wait. It's far more conditional than that. Let's break down why. The math behind delaying. First, let's give credit where it's due, because the math on delaying is genuinely impressive. If you claim at 62, you lock in roughly 70% of what you'd get at full retirement age. Between 62 and full retirement age, your benefit grows by about 5.6% per year, just for waiting. But once you hit full retirement age, something even better kicks in: delayed retirement credits. And your benefit grows by about 8% per year, guaranteed, all the way until age 70. Let's put real numbers on it. Say your full retirement age benefit is $2,000 a month. Claim at 62. You get about $1,400 a month. Wait until 70. That same benefit grows to roughly $2,480 a month. That's a jump of over 75% in monthly income for doing nothing but waiting. And here's the part that makes it so attractive. That growth isn't tied to the stock market. It's not a bet. It's a guaranteed, inflation-adjusted increase built directly into how Social Security works. So when financial writers say waiting to 70 is, quote, one of the best deals in retirement, they're not wrong. Mathematically, it's true. The problem is what gets left out of that sentence, the part the headlines leave out. Here's the thing. The real research doesn't say wait until 70. It says delay if you can afford to, and if it fits your household. That's a completely different statement, and it changes everything. Because delaying only works if you can actually survive the gap years without that income. And for a huge share of Americans, that gap simply isn't realistic. Think about who delaying makes sense for. People with a strong chance of a long life, good health, family longevity, especially women, since women live longer on average. Higher earners with a solid portfolio who can cover expenses without touching Social Security early. Married couples, especially where the higher earner delays, because that higher benefit becomes the survivor benefit for the spouse who's left behind. This decision doesn't just affect one person. It can affect a surviving spouse for decades. People worried about market risk, who want to reduce pressure on their portfolio by locking in more guaranteed income later. Notice what all of these groups have in common. They have a way to bridge the gap. Either they're still working or they have enough saved to cover expenses without Social Security for several years. Now flip it around. Who should probably not wait until 70? Anyone who needs the income now to cover basic living expenses. Anyone with modest savings and no real bridge to get from retirement to age 70. anyone in poorer health or with a shorter life expectancy in their family history, anyone retiring early with a limited portfolio, where delaying would force huge withdrawals in the early years. That last group is where things get genuinely risky. Let's walk through why. The portfolio risk no one talks about. Let's run a real scenario. You retire at 62 with a $350,000 portfolio, and you need $40,000 a year to live comfortably. Scenario 1. You delay Social Security until 70. For 8 straight years, you have zero Social Security income. That means the entire $40,000 a year has to come out of your portfolio. That's an 11.12% withdrawal rate, and that's not just aggressive, that's dangerous. You're pulling that much out right at the start of retirement, which is exactly when something called sequence of returns risk does the most damage. If the market drops early while you're taking large withdrawals, you lock in those losses permanently. Your portfolio doesn't get the chance to recover the way it would if the drop happened later. Even with modest, reasonably cooperative market returns, that $350,000 could shrink to somewhere between $100,000 and $150,000 by the time you turn 70. And if you hit a real downturn in those early years, that portfolio could be wiped out even faster. Yes, by 70, your Social Security check would be much bigger, but you might be looking at a portfolio that's a shadow of what it used to be. Scenario 2. You claim at 62 instead. Let's say your benefit at 62 is $1,500 a month, about $18,000 a year. Now, instead of needing the full $40,000 from your portfolio, you only need about $22,000. That's a withdrawal rate closer to 6%. Still on the higher side, but nowhere near as dangerous, especially if you're willing to stay flexible with spending in down years. Instead of draining your portfolio in the most vulnerable years of retirement, you're taking pressure off it, giving it room to grow and reducing your sequence of returns risk. The trade-off is real. You give up a bigger check later in exchange for protecting your money now. But for someone with a modest portfolio and no other income source, that trade-off can be the difference between a retirement that lasts and one that doesn't. The break-even point. There's one more piece of math worth understanding: the break-even age. This is the age where the total amount you'd receive from delaying finally catches up to and passes what you'd have received by claiming early. Claim early and you get more checks, but each one is smaller. Claim later and you get fewer checks, but each one is bigger. Depending on which ages you're comparing, that break-even point typically lands somewhere in your late 70s to early 80s. So the real question becomes personal. Based on your health and your family history, do you realistically expect to live past that break-even age? If the honest answer is probably not, claiming earlier may actually give you more total lifetime income, not less. The wait until 70 advice assumes a long life. If that assumption doesn't fit you, neither does the advice. It's not just math, it's behavior too. There's also a piece of this that never shows up in a spreadsheet: how you actually feel about money. The need for certainty. The peace of mind that comes with income hitting your account every month. The stress of watching a portfolio balance drop while you wait for a bigger check years down the road. These are real factors. A retirement plan that's technically optimal on paper but keeps you up at night isn't actually a good plan. And here's the honest reality for most Americans. People are stepping away from the workforce in their early 60s with modest savings and no other major income stream. For that group, Social Security isn't a bonus. It's often 50%, 60%, even 70% or more of their total retirement income. Delaying isn't just inconvenient for them. It can make an already tight plan more fragile. Meanwhile, there's a smaller, more financially flexible group, people who can keep working into their late 60s, or who have enough saved to comfortably bridge the gap. For them, delaying genuinely is one of the best moves available. Both of these groups are following smart strategies. They're just not the same strategy, because they're not in the same situation. So what should you actually do? Instead of asking, should I wait until 70, ask yourself what problem you're actually trying to solve. Trying to maximize total lifetime income and you expect to live a long time? Delaying helps. Worried about outliving your money? Delaying helps. Married and you're the higher earner, thinking about your spouse's future? Delaying helps because that becomes their survivor benefit. Need income now, have a modest portfolio, or have health concerns that make a long life less likely? Claiming earlier may be the smarter, safer path, even though it goes against the headline. Research from people like Wade Pfau and David Blanchett actually backs this up. Delaying can improve your safe withdrawal rate and help your portfolio last longer, but only if you have a sustainable way to fund the years in between. If you don't, the strategy can work against you instead of for you. That's the real conclusion. Not wait until 70. It's figure out what fits your household, your health, your income sources, your marital status, and your portfolio/CTA. So the next time you see a headline like 90% of Americans are ignoring the best Social Security strategy, remember what's actually behind that number. It's not that people are making a mistake. In most cases, it's that they're making the right call for their own situation, even if it doesn't match the one-size-fits-all headline. If this breakdown helped you see the bigger picture, drop a comment and let me know. Are you planning to claim early, at full retirement age, or wait until 70? I'd genuinely like to know where you land. If you got value from this video, hit like, subscribe if you're new here, and share it with someone who's trying to figure out their own Social Security timing. New breakdowns drop every week right here on Tyson Retires. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.